Okay, so we've got the start of new month and a new project. So this month's project is to do with being inspired by the masters. So there's different ways you could tackle this, and I said quite a lot of this last week actually. It could be something like a copy, like actually just copying something, either a whole painting or a section of a painting. So I'll demonstrate a little bit of that in a minute. Another idea would be to do some sort of interpretation. It could be something in the style of, so that would be in the style of Jackson Pollock, something like that. An interpretation would be perhaps using an artist's techniques and approach, but adding that to your own subject. So this one and this one would be examples of that. So this was, actually we did this project a couple of years ago. So this was my Van Gogh inspired technique of South Church Park. So that was that one. And this one I did many years ago when I was doing a sort of life drawing or portrait painting course at the college. And the idea of this was using Matisse's colours and a particular portrait Matisse painted, but applying it to a model who was sort of sitting in front of us. So just kind of, I had like the reference painting here and the model there, so I just kept you picking out colours and shapes from there. So that's another way you could go. So there's lots of different ideas you could use for the project, and I'll demonstrate some of those others as we go on. But today I thought I'd look at two pictures. This one, a Rembrandt, and also I've got a turn on the other side that I've started, and I'll add a little bit too. So that was my demo from Tuesday, and I've just added a little bit more to it. But I'll do the same sort of thing here again. In terms of references, hopefully you've got a few of your own, but also there's a calendar here. In fact, there's two calendars that somebody gave me. So again, if you want to use any of these references, we can cut these up and use the pictures out there. I've got my Artist Techniques book, so open on the Turner page. So this is quite a good little book, and it goes into, it goes right from old masters, the dawn of oil painting. So I think that's one of the first oil paintings done, up to the modern era. So you've got also, and it's quite interesting. So I did read this section on Turner just because I'm doing a little Turner demo. So that's that. And then there's also these cards. These are sort of there's a bit of a mixture actually, but these are kind of educational cards that one of my students who used to be an art teacher gave me, and she'd retired. So they're intermixed with other pictures, but there's all sorts of art and all sorts of different things to have a look at in there. If you want to use any of these, you're very welcome to use them, but I've only got one copy of each. So if you wanted a particular one, just add a stick-it note to it. I've got some stick-it notes, I'll get those out, and put your name on it, and then I'll make sure there's a copy for you for next week, just in case different people want to use them. But you can use them for today, and then whichever you're using, I'll get copies of. If there's like multiple copies. So there's actually three of those folders. Right, right. So with this one, this is a really nice approach. I've demonstrated this a couple of times before, and it's the more I do it, the more I want to do this. I want to try and apply this to my own work a bit more. It's pretty much like what we started with the other week with the charcoal, and you basically cover your board with some paint. So it works really well with transparent colours. So things like, this is burnt sienna, and then I'll be adding things like, I think it's burnt umber or raw umber and some ultramarine, a little bit of alizarin. So they're all quite transparent colours. And the idea is you're using some of the ground colour showing through. So in this case, I think I painted the board a little bit pink. This one's a bit grayer. Actually, I think this pinky colour is quite a nice one, sort of. But unfortunately, the others are like purple, which isn't going to be quite so good for old masters.
Well, are you using oils on that?
Yes, yeah, that's right. Yeah, so this is water mixable oils. Yeah, you could use any oils. I think the water mixable works nicely because it's not so smelly and using, thinned paint really. But yeah, it wouldn't really, to be honest, it's not really going to work with acrylics because it can dry so fast, you will be able to manipulate it. So it's a nice technique for things like oils, and it works well. As I say, we did it with charcoal the other week, and it worked well with charcoal. Morning. So yeah, the idea, I think the easiest way is to start with the lights, just lift out some of the lights, and then go in with the dark. So I'm using a bit of rag to start with, and this is quite good for getting a little bit of paint out, but not too much. I've thinned the paint a little bit, but not very, very thin. So that will be sort of the features on the face, and then we've got her collar going to be down here. That's going to be about there. So that's quite nice to start with. What also works well is just like wet wipes, and because these are wet, it will lift even more off. So this is something I've discovered. I didn't really know last time. So you can see that goes even lighter still. So look at that highlight on the bridge of my nose, maybe a little bit more on cheekbones. Or you could do this slightly later on. And it's quite nice, really, these sort of soft edges. So that probably would be enough of the lifting out for the minute, and I'll perhaps lift a little bit more out as we go. Perhaps this bit here can come out a bit more. So it really gets you to just concentrate on just shapes of light and dark. And I must admit, yeah, just carrying this on this morning, that was quite interesting. The way he'd introduced this little light bit just behind her neck there. And presumably that wouldn't really be there. I can't imagine, unless there was a gap in her veil. But it does, it does something quite interesting to the composition. So that'll be that bit. And then the next stage is to go in with some darker tones. As I say, I'm using brown blue and alizarin crimson, and not thinning it too much, just a tiny bit, because my paint's a little bit old. It's just to get them to flow a little bit. So maybe start with eyes. Get those sort of shapes. And the nice thing is you can just keep pushing the paint around, lifting it off if you need to. A little bit of shadow. Here. This could be a painting, a study in itself, or you could use it as underpainting. And this is a traditional kind of underpainting method. So you'd let this layer dry and then put some more colours, glazes, a thin colour over the top, which I might experiment with a little bit, perhaps another week with this one. I'll try and leave that to dry somewhere. And then a little bit of shadow here. Start to cut in with the. Actually, we've got quite a little bit of shadow here. That wants to go a bit darker. And by just almost like scrubbing the paint into the board, I can get a mid-tone that's slightly lighter than these darks. Here, might need a slightly smaller brush for that. Again, just want to work that in a little bit so I don't make it too heavy. Then carry on around here a little bit. Get some shadow down the side of her nose. Then, as you can see, so it's just kind of pushing the paint around, moving around. Then let's go. I won't spend too much time. You can then sort of add in some really strong darks wherever you need the strong darks. Yeah, is that okay on that one? Yeah. You know, I could, obviously keep going. I'd love to keep going. But I'll do a little bit on the Turner one, which is on the other side. So, now I always imagined Turner works in the same way, but reading the book, it looks like he did work that way to start with when he was first painting. And that would have been a traditional way to start painting. You'd have like your raw canvas, put like a brown primer on, and then work into that. But apparently he worked, as he went on, he worked on white. So I thought for this one, I would use a bit of white canvas. I've got plenty of this canvas, so if anybody wants to have a go with a bit of white canvas, I've got a roll of it there, so we can just cut that up. I actually got a roll donated to me recently, so we can use that. Now I need the pencil for that. So that one is this image here. I chose this one just because a lot of people wanted to have a go at this one. So I thought that might be a good one to demonstrate from. Yeah, so apparently he started just with very thin washes. So that's what I've done so far. As you can see, I've started to sketch the boat out. Perhaps a little bit, I'll add a little bit on the water now. So again, just, and used fairly bright colours to start with. So this is just literally oil paint thinned with water. It's very much depending on like the consistency of watercolour. But the nice thing about this is it will give you like an underpainting, a bit like an undercoat. If you're painting a red door, you might do some sort of undercoat, perhaps a grey or something like that. And then working across here, this wants to get a little bit warmer, some reds in there. So, in the book, I think it said he started with fairly bright colours that he then toned down. So that's what I shall do. So a little bit of yellows mixed in. I think actually for both these subjects, it's quite nice to pick things that aren't too complicated drawing-wise. So. With the other one, it's like a single face, single head, you can push the paint around. This one, and the other Turner that's in there is I thought that's quite a nice one as well. Again, it's not too there's not too much complicated drawing, let's say. So you can get
all the colours.
Yeah, you get into sort of playing with the paint and the textures of the paint. Because what he would have done then, so these thin layers, and then he put like thicker paint over the top, which I will do next week. Perhaps add some thick paint. Then he let that dry and then put thinner glazes over the top. So when you see the paintings in real life, they do have a sort of glow to them. It's the way he's used layers of paint and textures of paint. So I thought that'd be an interesting thing to experiment with as we go on.
Did you say it was watercolour or oil?
He did it with oils. Yeah. I mean, he used watercolours a lot for studies. I think he did lots of experiments in his studio. Apparently, his paintings were mostly based on little sketches he did, pencil sketches. He didn't do a lot of watercolours outside. Apparently, it was all in the studio.
I thought it was only watercolour he did.
What, Turner?
I thought it was only watercolour.
No. He did big 6 foot oil paintings, but they aren't based on his sketches, based on his watercolours. He wasn't, whereas to contrast someone like John Constable, who's the same sort of era, he really is the one that sort of started a bit of plein air painting. And in the V&A Museum, you've got these little sketches on paper with oil paints that Constable did. So he was one of the first ones to go out and paint outside and make his studies and then come back to the studio. But I think apparently Turner just worked very quickly, made little written notes, and re-evoked it from his imagination.
But you said you mixed the oil with water, so it.
No, I'm mixing it with water. He would have used so much. Because, I mean, in those times, you just wouldn't have the range of what we've got.
Okay.
So these are, I'm using it with water because these are water mixable oils. But traditional oils are solvent based. He would use turpentine, that's what he would have used then. I might use a bit of the traditional oils next week, just on the top of this, which you can do.
Yeah.
Go more medium, the traditional have the water mixable. Just because it's got a white that will dry quickly, and I want to put it on thickly. Whereas the white, this white will take a long time to dry if I use it thickly. But, I'll go into that next week. But yeah, the basic thing would be, I'll do a little bit more of this afternoon. That's probably a bit too bright, so I'll probably white that back a little bit and bring some of this other. But the thing is, it's sort of, you can push it around. You can paint on, manipulate it. Yeah, it's malleable. Is that okay? Any other questions?
I think he is getting the watercolour feel with oils, isn't he?
Well, it is really, isn't it?
Yeah.
At this stage,
It's
it
the looking
is.
of
Yeah,
the
yeah. I
colours
mean,
and the
I don't know. That might have. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
It's interesting.
yeah.
Really good.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I've got any. There is a Turner book there. I don't know if there are any watercolours in there that he did. Might be worth having a look. Okay.
Thanks.